Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling a universal kitchen failure: soggy, frankly disappointing home-cooked wings. If you've ever tried to make wings at home and ended up with rubbery, flabby skin, trust me, you are not alone. But today, we're going to engineer a complete scientific breakthrough to eliminate the need for deep frying entirely, giving you a masterclass in culinary science right in your own kitchen.
Now, you've probably asked yourself, why do my oven wings just lack that shatter crisp texture you get at your favorite wing joint? Well, I've got good news. It's not your cooking skills. It's actually all about the biophysics of avian skin. See, chicken skin is roughly 65% water by weight, and it's absolutely packed with tightly bound structural proteins like collagen. Because water absorbs so much thermal energy, the skin literally just steams in the oven, making it highly resistant to browning and crisping.
So how do we fix this? Sure, you could deep fry them, but let's be real, that is a messy, high-calorie, logistical nightmare for a home cook. So today, we're ditching the deep fryer altogether. Instead, we're using targeted pH manipulation and thermodynamics to transform that watery, rubbery skin into a rigid, brittle structure. We're talking the absolute perfect crunch.
Here is our syllabus for today. First, the chemistry of the crunch. Second, thermodynamics and precision tools. Third, the emulsion equation. And finally, science is kitchen freedom.
All right, let's dive straight into Section 1, the chemistry of the crunch, or as I like to call it, the alkaline hack.
To pull this off without a vat of boiling oil, we have to structurally weaken the skin before it ever even hits the heat. And we do this by applying aluminum-free baking powder. This simple ingredient raises the skin's natural pH from a slightly acidic 5.6 up to a slightly basic 7.2. And this subtle shift, it triggers something called alkaline hydrolysis. Think of it like a chemical pre-digestion. It deliberately breaks down those incredibly tough peptide bonds that are holding the collagen together. This really illustrates why baking powder is the absolute master secret ingredient here. It doesn't just weaken the skin. That alkaline environment actually lowers the activation energy needed for the Maillard reaction. In plain English, your wings are going to brown much faster and at lower temperatures. Plus, as the baking powder reacts, it releases carbon dioxide. This creates these microscopic bubbles on the surface of the skin, inflating it into a blistered, glassy micro-texture that perfectly mimics a deep-fried crunch. It's honestly amazing.
But wait, a hugely important warning here. You must strictly use aluminum-free baking powder. Never, ever substitute baking soda. Baking soda is way too alkaline. If you use it, you'll trigger a chemical reaction called saponification, which literally, and I mean literally, turns the chicken fat into a bitter, soapy compound. Nobody wants soap wings. So always double-check your pantry.
Okay, to execute this alkaline hack, you're going to follow these precise steps. First, thoroughly pat your wings dry with cellulose paper towels to get rid of that surface water. Next, toss them with 1 tablespoon of aluminum-free baking powder for every 2 to 4 pounds of wings, plus some kosher salt. That salt is crucial because it triggers osmotic desiccation, aggressively pulling moisture out of the meat. Finally, let them dry cure uncovered in the cold fridge for 24 hours. This meticulously manages that moisture migration.
Moving on to Section 2, thermodynamics and precision tools, because science requires the right tools.
If we want to replace a deep fryer with hot air, we need the right gear. First up, a heavy-gauge stainless steel wire rack is absolutely non-negotiable. If you just lay wings flat on a baking sheet, they're going to boil in their own juices. As you can see, if you look closely at the wire rack, it allows 360-degree convection air to circulate, and crucially, it lets the rendered fat drip completely away. You're also going to need a calibrated digital meat thermometer, which we'll use to hit a very exact thermal target. All right, we start our thermal staging with what we call the render phase at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 28 to 32 minutes. At this temp, we're systematically melting the subcutaneous fat right under the skin while giving any lingering surface water the exact time it needs to evaporate completely. Next, we hit the flash crisp phase. Without taking the wings out, you're going to crank your oven up to 475 degrees for the final 8 to 10 minutes. Why so hot? Well, lipid oxidation, which is the process that polymerizes the surface fats into a rigid, crackly shell, actually stalls out below 460 degrees. So, this ultra-high heat blast is exactly what guarantees that shatter-crisp finish.
Now grab that calibrated digital meat thermometer we talked about. Get a nice close-up read on those wings. While the safe minimum for poultry is 165 degrees, you actually want to overshoot and aim for an internal temperature of 190 to 195 degrees. Wings have a ton of connective tissue, so bringing them up to this exceptionally high temperature ensures all that tough collagen fully breaks down into succulent, lip-smacking gelatin. That's how you get fall-off-the-bone tenderness underneath that crispy shell.
All right, on to Section 3, the emulsion equation. Let's talk about the chemistry of cling.
You know, a genuinely great wing can be completely ruined by a watery, separated sauce. The lazy, everyday method of just dumping melted butter into hot sauce, it causes instant fat coalescence, leaving you with a sad, greasy puddle at the bottom of your bowl. No thanks. Instead, we are utilizing the classic French Beurre Monté technique. This yields a glossy, incredibly velvety emulsion that perfectly clings to your wings and holds its structure.
So what is a beurre monté? It leverages the lecithin found naturally in butterfat. This lecithin acts as a surfactant, effectively reducing the interfacial tension between the vinegar and the hot sauce and the fat in the butter. By binding these two together, the fat perfectly coats the hydrophobic capsicum, the compound that actually causes the spicy heat. The result is this rich, slow-release flavor profile, rather than just an instant, harsh acidic burn.
Now, there are precise lab-validated parameters to get this right. You need constant mechanical shear, meaning you're whisking at about 120 to 140 RPMs. Your hot sauce base must be held at exactly 135 degrees Fahrenheit. If it boils, the emulsion breaks instantly. Game over. And perhaps most importantly, your butter must be cubed and strictly cold straight from the fridge.
To actually build this emulsion, bring your hot sauce up to exactly 135 degrees, then pull it completely off the direct heat. Systematically whisk in your cold butter cubes, just one at a time. The highly branched, cold fat crystals melt gradually into the warm liquid, giving the lecithin prime to form a stable monolayer. What you're left with is a thick, luxurious sauce that paints the wings absolutely beautifully.
Finally, Section 4, Science is Kitchen Freedom, the ultimate takeaway.
By combining these phases, we've bypassed the deep fryer entirely. We've used chemical manipulation, thermodynamic staging, and emulsion physics to engineer an oven-baked wing that is quite literally indistinguishable from its deep-fried counterpart. Always remember this: mastering the science of cooking is the key to kitchen freedom. It elevates you from just blindly following recipes to actually understanding how food works at a molecular level. And relying on precision instruments guarantees repeatable, restaurant-grade triumphs every single time. If you want to upgrade your your kitchen, check the description for the exact heavy-gauge wire racks and digital thermometers we highlighted today. Now that you possess the biochemical blueprint for perfect, shatter-crisp wings and stable buffalo sauce, it is time for you to experiment. What culinary myth will you systematically deconstruct in your laboratory next? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and seriously, enjoy those incredible wings.